Yo, yo.
Oh.
So today we are going to talk about sleep and the importance of sleep in eating, and actually how it can drive behaviours, how it can unbalance your hormones and upset things so that you might crave things when you wouldn't normally crave things if you're not getting good sleep. And also if your sleep hygiene's poor, it affects your day to day. So it's quite an important part of getting back on track when you have issues going on with food.
Along with the gut, sleep is one of the things that we'll look at straight away with clients that are struggling with any sort of illness or anything to do with food issues or food not the issue. So with sleep you have it's called a circadian rhythm, and it's basically where different hormones are released at different times of the day, and when we're in balance we should have the cortisol releasing in the morning, which kind of gets us up and gets us started in the day, and then on an evening something called melatonin is supposed to be released, which is when we start to relax and unwind and get ready to go to sleep. And if things are out of balance, these two hormones can be completely switched round, so we end up with cortisol halfway through the day and towards the evening, so we're wide awake, wired, and we can't get to sleep, fidgety legs, and we can have the melatonin later on. So when we wake up in the morning, even though we might have been in bed for like 8-9 hours, we still don't feel rested, and we haven't actually gone into the deep sleep or had any of the REM sleep either, which is, you basically have different phases. So you've got 5 different phases of sleep, and the first 2 are quite light, so you're just kind of drifting off a little bit here. And then stages 3 and 4, this is where we're in a really deep sleep, and this is where you start to have recovery of your body and physical recovery. You start to detox the brain as well, and also then you have the REM, which is the 5th phase, and this is where you start to dream and you're kind of like processing some of the things from the day. Yeah, this is our favourite. So basically you've got these 5 phases of sleep, and you want to try and get as many of these in as you can when you get to sleep. They last about 90 minutes each one. So sometimes it's not always that you have to have loads of quantity of sleep, but it's the quality. Yeah.
And for me, it's like actually going back to the days when I was in India and we studied yoga nidra. And if you really get into that deep state quite quickly, so if you practice something like yoga nidra where you go to bed and then you take yourself into a certain state, it's same as like hypno. So we've given you the sleep hypno tape as part of this program, so you could try that, and it helps you to go deeper quicker so that you're getting better quality sleep quicker, so that you're not wasting time in those first stages and you're not getting quality sleep because your brain is too active and you can't switch off. So caffeine and things are quite bad to keep in your system because they can affect your state when you sleep, or affect your ability to actually go to sleep. And actually we see with a lot of people that have eating issues, they really struggle to go to sleep sometimes because their brain is in overdrive.
Yeah.
They're always thinking about the issues that they have, and they just can't switch off.
Yeah, so I guess what are some of the things that create this imbalance? So like eating a lot of processed food. If we look at the gut video, the way that if the gut health is out of balance, how that impacts all these different hormones and all these other different functions in the body, the cortisol and stress hormones. So the type of foods that we eat, if we've got inflammation running through the body, this is going to impact our sleep. If we've got high stress, so our environment, what's going on, the people that we're kind of hanging around with, what is our work situation, relationships, the way that we feel about ourselves, so the thoughts, feelings, words, beliefs that we have every single day, all these things can lead to a healthy or unhealthy sleep pattern.
And also your adrenals can be quite shot when you have eating issues because you're constantly spiking your blood sugar, you're constantly taking in caffeine to make up for that. So your adrenals get absolutely worn out when you have stuff going on with food, especially. And I know for me, I used to drink like 12 energy drinks and coffee every day and had no issues. I actually blessed that I didn't have any sleep issues, but it was because my adrenals were so shot. And I say I didn't have any sleep issues. I didn't have any.
Didn't sleep.
I didn't go to sleep. So I did have issues in going to bed actually, and this is something that happens as well. it's another kind of form of self-abuse. So actually when we abuse through food, so we feel not valuable enough to have like healthy food, or we don't look after ourselves in those ways, we end up self-abusing through food. So we give ourselves unhealthy food that will make us feel crap, and then we find other ways to abuse ourselves. And this is a very big loop in eating issues. When you have like eating disorders, you're in a loop of self-abuse, self-harm, and it is self-harm just on a different level. And another thing that I used to do to harm myself was to not go to sleep. So I would just stay up. I had no reason to be up, but I would be up until 3-4 a.m. doing God knows what. And also when you binge, it's usually quite late in the evening or nighttime. So it's like that kind of secret behavior. So it's like staying up late is kind of encouraging those behaviors. So not going to bed on time or early can actually draw you more towards those behaviors anyway.
Just end up sat there fidgeting, and then it's much easier to end up going to the kitchen and snacking and then ending up on a binge. And also then, if you're not getting enough of this quality sleep, if we've not had enough sleep, then the next day our bodies are going to be searching for energy somehow. So one of the most efficient, not always effective, but one of the most efficient ways to get energy is food. So if our bodies are saying you need energy, what we really need is a good night's sleep or a little nap, because we've not had quality sleep. But what we end up doing is going for food, because that's just our body's kind of confusion, I guess.
And it's usually sugar, isn't it?
Usually we go for really dense foods, things processed, high in sugar, high in fat, because that's going to get us the energy the fastest. So our body's trying to help us, but it's just not the most effective way, and it's not kind of quite realising that actually it's just deprived sleep. So yeah, it's really important if we're going through different issues with eating patterns to get good quality sleep and work on that as a core thing to start improving.
Yeah, and also when you don't have enough sleep, you just make poor decisions. Your brain's not as sharp. You feel inflamed. I know if I don't sleep, like I didn't get loads last night because I was up late drawing, not because I was self-abusing. But when you don't get that sleep, you kind of feel a bit inflamed. So your body responds to whatever you put in it as well. You make worse decisions. Like you'll eat more, definitely. Like your hormones are out of whack straight away. So it sends hunger hormones through the roof. So you start to go for foods that are not really good for you anyway. And you just end up more and more inflamed, and you're in a cycle of abusing yourself through not sleeping, basically. So it's a really important aspect that people probably overlook, and we want to make sure every aspect is covered. So like having good sleep hygiene, putting in things like going to bed early, making sure your room is dark so that you're getting back to the natural rhythms. So you're going to sleep, or you're getting ready for bed when it gets dark in the evenings, and you're getting up when the sun starts to come up in the morning. So naturally winter we should sleep a little bit longer. Summertime we sleep a little bit less, because it's just the natural rhythms of life, in sync with the universe, in sync with nature.
Yeah, it's really important to try and keep as much artificial light away from you as possible before you go to sleep, all the way through the night and in the morning as well. So even if you have something small in the bedroom that has like a little light on it, this can disrupt your sleep and stop you from going into the really deep phase of the sleep. So staying away from TVs, phones, all this kind of thing before you go to bed, because if the natural light has already gone down and then you're sat in bed with this artificial light, it's really disrupting this circadian rhythm, and it will really interrupt these different 1 to 5 sleep phases, and you're going to miss out on the parts that really help to detox the brain, the recovery. So you are going to have this kind of inflamed feeling.
Like the release of melatonin as well, it doesn't get released when you keep spiking it with light. So having the dim light is super important. Getting out in nature during the day is important as well, just to connect and ground with nature.
Like breathing, so calming down the system. So before you go to bed, like they say sleep hygiene, it's just like the rituals or patterns that you have before you go to bed. So is it going to be more beneficial to watch a horror movie with bright artificial light, which sets the kind of nervous system all wild, or is it going to be better to get a nice relaxing bath with candles and some lavender oil and doing some deep breathing, maybe some meditation? So it's really just being more aware of what you're doing around the last hour before you go to bed. Bread, I was going to say. Before you go to
Don't
bed.
go to bread.
The opposite.
That will happen if you don't sleep.
Yeah, to bring your system where it needs to be to have this deep sleep. And even things like the journaling as well before you go to bed, almost like to dump whatever is going on for you from the day.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, get that out. I can deal with that, you know, and then it's time to get relaxed and going to sleep.
And exercise can really help with your sleep, because actually sometimes people are overtired and actually they feel like they're overtired, but they're not. They have too much sleep. So you can have too much sleep and then not be able to sleep. So if you're not kind of using your energy and you're not exercising, you're going to struggle to sleep more than somebody who is exercising. So exercise really helps us to dump energy that we might build up throughout the day, and it could be just mental energy, but it's really important to kind of get rid of that. So if you are struggling, or you find like you're going to bed early and you can't sleep, or you're waking up super early, maybe you're actually getting too much sleep. So I know for me, like 6 hours is kind of optimal, depends on the phase. Like sometimes I'll get 8 and I'll feel great, but sometimes if I oversleep I actually feel worse. So it's kind of to tune into what's right for you. You like a little bit more sleep?
Yeah, I like a little bit more sleep. I know that for me, I can manage on 6 hours, but then if I do that for quite a few nights in a row, I really start to suffer. I feel inflamed, my skin looks older, I just don't look and feel my best. So about 8 hours is nice for me, but it doesn't have to be every night. But again, it could just be the way that different people go into these sleep cycles. Like I snore, so potentially my sleep cycles are broken.
Yeah.
So maybe if I sleep for 8 hours, I might only be getting 3 or 4 full cycles. I don't know, but you know, this could be something for people as well. And also to look at the food that you eat before you go to bed. So just monitoring what works for you. So for some people, it's to not eat close to bed, to have a really light meal earlier on and not eat, because maybe it's a little bit hard on the digestion, and then the body's not going to be able to relax. It's still in sort of work mode, it's not in rest and recover. Or for other people, it might be to have actually like carbs with like some honey or jam or something like that, because actually having something like carbohydrates can give you a little blood sugar raise, which can also help you feel a little bit sleepy. So it's just looking at all these different things and trying things out and seeing what is optimal for you to feel your best, to feel the most balanced, to be making decisions from a place that is not imbalanced and erratic, and
you're clear.
Yeah,
your system's clear. You just feel, oh, okay, I feel better, I can make better decisions today. And then all the stuff that we talk about in overriding patterns becomes easier, because you're not in that state where you're just in survival and trying to get food in. So it really, really makes a big difference when you are trying to get rid of these issues.
Oh, and also one thing that I've just started doing, which you could try, is also the earplugs, which I found really, really useful. Sometimes if you live in a noisy area, or if you've got a partner that snores, then I found these really helpful. So that's another thing that you could try as well, just to kind of make sure that you get in as many of these full cycles as possible whilst you're actually in bed.
Yeah. And just to know that, like, the more you do these practices and the more you do things like yoga nidra, the less sleep you'll actually need, because the more efficient you become at sleeping. So I know when I was doing yoga nidra every night, I could sleep 3 hours and wake up ready to go, bright as a button. So we have beliefs around how much sleep we need as well. So it's just to put that in your awareness that like there's a lot more potential to change your whole system really that we may be aware of. It's quite powerful.
Yeah, so that's our sleep video concluded. Thank you for listening. And remember,
Food is not the issue.